down the hammer and pick up the pencil. You're about to listen to the Savvy Radio Show. Learn from real-life real estate investors, experience revealed with the Savvy Landlord as your host.
Hey, this is your friend Steve VanCauwenbergh. You tuned in, to the radio show? Absolutely. And I don't know what this episode is going to be about, but I was just, enamored, motivated, needed to drop this knowledge of something that I've just experienced, which was kind of not intense, but an interesting experience. And there was so much that I learned through this process, and hopefully that I can articulate it quickly and fast and maybe inspire you to do some things that you would not necessarily would do. So it's an interesting story. Anyway, just a little while ago, I randomly met a beautiful person that is a banker. And this gal, she is the host of an event. It was a fundraiser. So I started chatting with her, and then, I was like, I can go to this. It was during the week, like a Tuesday night. The tickets were $65, and it was for a good cause. And, the cause was for the Executive Women International. Apparently, this is a global organization that helps women, usually single women or what is that called? Single parent ladies trying to be professional, trying to go to the next level. They offer scholarships, support, development, and it's just an interesting organization. It's mainly for ladies, and ladies put this on. And I got nothing going down, so I was like, hey, I'm gonna go check it out. So I went to this thing, and I had no idea what to anticipate, or I had no expectations. And so I arrived, and it was an interesting location. It was in downtown Oklahoma City, and it was a 3-story multi-million-dollar home. And I was fortunate. I got a tour around this room, and this is something that you would see on Cribs or some bougie thing. And I think this is like to me, it was like maybe a $2 million property, but I looked at it after I left. It was a $5 million acquisition. And it was just an interesting being involved in someone's home that's not their home anymore, but this was actually someone's physical home, and now they rent this facility out to whoever. So that's how I got there. And so it was just, for me, and the goal of today's episode is for you to push yourself to get out of your comfort zone for multiple reasons, and you just never know the ROI that you're going to receive if you just take a step of faith, that you would just push yourself. So I didn't know what to expect. I thought it was $65. I know there was hors d'oeuvres. I know there was drinks, and it was a casino night. And I'm like, I'm about that. I like blackjack and whatever and whatnot. So I guess when I first walk in, you have to wear a jacket. It was semi-formal. Of course, I'm not a big dress-up dude, but, sometimes you got to represent. So I walk in, I get in, and then I got to buy tickets. Oh, didn't even realize I didn't even have, they take Venmo, and I had to figure that out. So I had bought $100 worth of tickets, and I had a bunch of tickets. And I guess you have to use a ticket to get drinks, and there was already hors d'oeuvres and some stuff. And they had a silent auction, and there was 3 floors. So I went up on the top floor, and I was just kind of visiting with a dealer. And it was just an interesting scenario just to talk to someone. And I was by myself by the table. And, I'm like, this gal, it seemed like she was a Las Vegas dealer. And she was like dealing like a player. And I was like, wow, have you dealt before? Because this is like a temporary casino night. They get just some young people or whatever to, anyone, not any age, but to go be a dealer. I mean, it'd probably make $50-$100 to, rock a party. And, she's talking to me about that when she was 19, she lived in Shawnee. She worked at a casino for 6 years. And it was just interesting. Just, number one, it's kind of selfish because I'm nervous. I don't really know anyone in the place. I went with the wingman, my homeboy, but he knew somebody, and he kind of left me to the curb. And I'm just, kind of making chatter. And I realized I was just talking to this gal, and you just don't know what kind. My goal was, look, you gotta help people, make them win. And so I just wanted to connect with this person. And I'm talking to him, and it was just fascinating. It just learned enough to learn enough. And, well, just befriending this person, just asking a few questions. Like, they're all, like, just plutonic. I'm not trying to hit on this gal or anything. And all of a sudden, I was hitting a lot of blackjacks. And she was like sleight of hand. And I'm like, this is interesting. This is a fundraiser. And, for each ticket, each $50 of a win, you get a ticket, and that ticket you can use into this raffle. Now, at the time, I'm not thinking, and my motivation wasn't like sly, but next thing you know, I got up to like $400 or $500 in fake money, and I cashed out, and this gal hooked me up. And I was like, this is interesting situation. In my $100 I dropped, I had a ton of tickets, and there's about 50 people in this fundraiser. And it was a very beautiful place. These prizes were off the charts. I mean, I'm like, I got to come to this deal every year. And I just started putting my raffle tickets in the little, the little containers. And I'm like, man, I'm going to win. I put a lot in this one. Well, it was an interesting scenario. Okay. All of a sudden, I started winning a ton of prizes. It was actually awkward, right? I mean, the first prize was like, cool, because I just won a ton of tickets, and I was just, and it was just interesting, the scenario. First of all, like the first time it was cool. The second time it was all right. The third time, all of a sudden I had some haters. Now, again, I don't know anyone in this room, and pretty prevalent that most of the people in the room are well-to-do and to a certain degree, all right? I mean, I don't know. It's a $65 ticket. I mean, I don't know if that's expensive for people. I don't know if people were millionaires there, but everyone was dressed up. I couldn't tell if anybody was rich or not rich. Like I don't care. But I was one. So, and then there's a dude next to me who kind of had a ton of tickets too, and he won a ton of stuff. But I was like, all right, I don't need all this jazz. So I started giving away my prizes. Now, it's interesting, though. There was a couple prizes I wanted to keep, but it was just overkill. Like, I literally won, like, out of 10 prizes, maybe 12 prizes, I won, like 6 of them. But I didn't win them. I started giving away. And it created an environment that the guy next to me was following and giving away. Kendra Scott gave away, like, 20 gifts, and it was kind of cool. But here's a couple things that I learned that was very powerful. Everyone in the room is obviously for themselves. And then this girl that chatted me up at the table, she was the worker. And you never know. She's a human being. And so I thought to myself, man, I'm going to give a prize to her. And as soon as I walked over to give it to her, now everyone else was giving all these other chicks the prize, right? They won, trying to be cool, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, I'm going to be OG, and I'm going to give it to the worker because I love blue collar people. And I could feel the room just change in dynamic. Like, she's just a help. No, she's just a human. But anyway, I was kind of had some drinks, and I was in my own little element, right? I mean, I don't know anybody. I stepped into the DJ mode. I was trying to like Mr. Lounge Lizard. I'm telling you, I was in another planet for some weird moment. Another thing that was very powerful was you got to give people wins. And so when I walked into the room, there was this couple, and this guy walks up to me. I was like, hey, first of all, success is making the first move. Listen, if you're nervous, you're going to have to just walk up to people, smile, and just say hi. You don't have to shake their hand and say hi. Well, when I first got into the room, there was this young couple in front of me, and I was like, hey, and I kind of was, maybe a foot away from him. He turned to me and said, man, I know you from somewhere. I'm like, I don't know. Do you do real estate? He goes like, my dad does. I was like, cool. And I'm like, and it's just awkward. I just said, are you guys a couple? And he lit up like a Pop-Tart. And he's like, we just got married. And I was like, okay, I feel you. Congratulations. How long you got? 6 months. Here's another thing, another move I think you should do. Well, these folks, this young couple, they won a prize. And so like I was just out of my element, man. I'm telling you, this is where you got to step up and be something that you're not. I stepped into the kind of the middle of the room and I said, ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for our newlyweds. And that was a win, right? Everybody started clapping. Everybody started cheering. And it just made that couple phenomenal. They were just off the charts. And it was a wonderful time. I mean, I could have been there all night. And so that, the prize thing got a little awkward. There was this one gal next to me, and I tried to connect with her and say hi, but I was like, hey, what do you do? And she's like, I work at Walmart. Okay. What's interesting about that chick, she kind of was kind of abrasive to me. I'm like, look, I'm not trying to hook you up here, girl. I'm just asking you, like, I'm just trying to make conversation. And maybe I don't know what I look like to other people, but in my mind, I'm like, okay, well, I was kind of frustrated with that gal. I was like, seriously, you're gonna just talk to me like I'm like, do you think I'm trying to hit on you, or you like, I'm just trying to, this is a fundraiser. Like, what are you supposed to do? What was interesting later, before I did this podcast, I looked the chick up and found out that she is a funeral director. I get it, right? She didn't want to tell me that she was a funeral director. Like, I'm going to judge her. I mean, it's just interesting how people, with your Lululemon and your purses and it's just like we're all human. We're all trying to roll in society. There's no need to hide who you are. Now, if I was a funeral director, now I'm not into death. Death doesn't scare me, but I mean, I would, if someone asked me what I did, I'd be like, I'm a mortician, or I would just like, I redeem dead people. I mean, think about it. Like, never be ashamed on who you are. If you're a funeral director, you better rock that mess and be a funeral director. If you're the savvy landlord, just be the savvy landlord. Look, if you're a sanitation director, you be trash man, be the trash man. Don't try to play, because you playing with your mind. You're messing with yourself, and you're not truly who you are, and you're going to miss out on an opportunity. That girl did not know who I was. I could have been her gateway to financial freedom. I could have been her private lender. Now, again, I'm going to this event, with some intention, right? Like, I want to meet new people. Maybe I can connect with someone. The gal that invited me, who's a baller, she is a banker, an upper level executive banker. I mean, I'm assuming she has some friends that are bankers, but you just never know what the opportunity is. And I'm assuming wealthy people go to fundraisers, right? Broke ass people don't do that. And so, I had a good time. My homie came. I tried to invite somebody else. I'm definitely going to go back to this event. I think, actually, it's Steve VanCauwenbergh 3.0. I'm going to go to more than one event, right? I'm going to try to go as many events as I can. I've changed in who I am in at this moment. But this is not where it just blew me away. So, I learned a lot. So earlier when I was mingling with people, I ran into, there was this security guard there. And he was kind of a large man, and I knew he felt out of place. And I was like, again, I'm going to slide over there. Nobody else is talking to this dude. I'm going to slide over there. Now, of course, I did the cardinal sin. I said, hey, I don't even know what I said. This is a heavyset dude. I was like, first of all, when I first met him, I was like, hey, man, don't shoot me, trying to be funny. That was okay. And then later, I'm like, ripping around the food table. And I was like, yo, how you doing? And I don't know what I was thinking, but I was like, do you like food? And I'm like, what an idiot. I mean, I need to get hammered for that one. But it was kind of funny because I was off the charts for him. But we started talking. He's like, he said, I do. I said, yes. I don't know how I started this conversation, but I was like, everyone likes food. And so we was smiling. I was talking to him. But here's the interesting thing that I learned through this scenario. This is nobody who's talking to him. Everybody's OG to the nines. Everybody's dressed up, looking fly with the black dress on, with the jacket on, with the velvet jacket. And this dude's out there barely fitting in his gear. And I was like, well, what type of food do you like? And he said Italian. And I'm like, and my motive again is I'm selfish. I need to I want to explore new restaurants. I want VanCauwenbergh 3.0. He said Italian. And I'm like, boom, that's on my list. I said, okay, what's your favorite Italian place? And he said Olive Garden. Whoa. I was like, how do you respond? And it was interesting that you fundraiser VanCauwenbergh in another planet. I mean, think about it. Now, I know you giggled when the man said Olive Garden, but the reality is maybe that's what he could afford, or genuinely he likes Olive Garden. And I know when you hear the word Olive Garden, you probably think low grade. But here's the interesting thing. It just reminded me how to respond and connect with people in general. And there's nothing reciprocal here, but the point of it is like you got to get people to win. And so I just connected with him, and my goal was just to have a good time. So I went on my merry way, and I'm doing good. And then the prizes are over, and I was like, oh yeah, I put $250 down on this silent auction situation, and I was like, oh man, how much money am I going to drop here? I got $100, got $65 in the thing. And somebody outbidded me. And I thought that was cool. I was like, all right, good. At least I pushed the bar, and somebody bought this thing for $260. So I'm like, all right, I did my job. I feel good. Selfish little VanCauwenbergh here. I'm all about myself. And my wingman, my homeboy, he's like, Steven, come on over here and meet this gal. And I was like, okay. So I like, slide to the left, slide to the right, put your hands up on your hip. And I rolled over there. And the first thing out of this gal's mouth, she said, "This changed my life." I said, "What?" She said, "I'm a recipient and I received a $600 scholarship." And man, my whole world just got just perspective. What are we living? This gal, and I just started chatting with her. I was like, "So tell me what's going on." She's like, "Yeah, I'm in school. I'm trying to be an architect, and then I'm studying to be a construction management." And man, my heart just poured out to this gal. $600, and it changed her life. We just don't know what's going on in society. You never know where someone's going. Remember, this organization is to help executive women to be executives and executive women to help women, usually in a hard position, maybe don't have the opportunities that you may have. And this fundraiser is a great thing. And it broke me right there. And I just said, I'm going to bless this chick. I mean, right here, right now. I said, you will not believe that I'm in the middle of building a restaurant right now. And I said, I know a female architect that I just hired from Colorado that has kind of a license here in Oklahoma City. She's a female-owned architect, and here's her phone number. Why don't you connect with this gal, and let's make this happen? And see, the interesting thing, like now this is this gal's interesting. Now the ball's in her court. Right? She got the 600, but you never know the opportunity, the gateway that you can be, the door that you could open, that you could change someone else's life. That $600 changed that gal's life. She got there to this place. She sound motivated. And, matter of fact, the girl texted me later on. I took a picture with her, and I was just humbled, just honored to be a part of someone else's success. Somebody went before me in this organization called Executive Women International and put this event on and meets once a month and tries to help women in Oklahoma City and around globally to be better and to be independent and to be a professional. And this young gal, she's probably 30 for all I know, but she looks like she'd been through some static. And she reached out to me and she's like, "Can I get that girl's phone number?" I was like, "Absolutely." And I wish I had more time. I would try to help her and say, "Listen, it's an opportunity here. You could just work for this gal for free, maybe learn from her, maybe meet her, or connect with me." Because actually today I met with my architectural team and the development team, and we just got the layout. On Monday, we're going to do a walkthrough of the new restaurant before we get to the engineering aspect of it. But it's just a fascinating thing from someone a beautiful person that I met random invites me to an event, and the whole thing was ministry. It's just the way you hold yourself. But I just want you to take a different perspective on life, and you never know, even from a guy from Olive Garden to the girl that's taking the money behind the counter that was like, "I work at Walmart." I actually went up to that chick twice and said, "Yo, what do you do?" And she's like, "Walmart." Now, maybe I was overzealous. I don't know. But I hope that this podcast, I know this is crazy. This is not the normal Savvy podcast. And I don't understand why I am doing this podcast. But there are so many key elements that were just impactful, that you could make a difference in someone's life and you don't even know it. So let's recap. So VanCauwenbergh, how'd you make an impact? Well, number one, do you think anyone else chatted up the dealer? You could tell that she was 19 and that she was a dealer, and then she took a civil service job, and now she's working at night on the side hustle. But she felt that she was listened to. Come on. I just asked a few questions. The couple, the newlyweds, they were insecure. They've only been married 6 months. They have no idea what the blank they're doing. But the whole room went cheering for them. Let people win. And there's another conversation I had with the owner of the casino, and I tried to love on him. And there were some other random how about the security guard that's sitting out out of sorts. His clothes didn't fit well. He's kind of a large individual. He stuck out. And I know some people said hi to him out of respect, but did someone really get to know him? And then boom, the recipient. Come on, can you hear me? And then also I learned, not everybody's on the same VanCauwenbergh page. Some people are in their own world and they don't want to talk to you. And how do you respond when someone doesn't want to befriend you? And that's okay. You just have to walk in authority of who you are as a human being, whatever you claim, wherever you're from. And then this beautiful woman that was like, you changed my life, not me, but this organization, and that she was a recipient of $600 scholarship where this money came to, and that she had hope. And then I gave her a little bit more hope. And I'm like, you need to call this gal, this architect, and you never know. And like, now again, I have no idea what's going to happen. I don't know. I don't expect this architect that I hired to work with this gal, but I'm impressed. The girl texts me. She's asked me for more details, and I gave it to her. And, that's the next step, right? The next step is you have an opportunity in front of you. Someone gave you a phone number, or the Holy Spirit came to you and gave you an opportunity. Are you going to take that step of faith? And that's the big question. I was hanging out with a young child the other day, a 24-year-old, and I'm mentoring this person, and he just admires me or whatever. I don't know what the frick this wants to do, but the reality is I don't even know why he wants to kick it with me. But the thing is, I was like, yo, it's this simple. I just made a decision. When I was young, and I was in my 20s, and I was like, my dream was to work in the music business. I just called the record company. I was like, look, I want to do concerts. How do I do it? And they try to get me a band. And people always ask, well, how did you get on tour with POD? How'd you get on tour with all these bands? How'd you get on the Warped Tour? How'd you do all this stuff? I said, listen, man, I just made a decision. I just made a phone call, but it was an opportunity that was in front of me. Now, it wasn't easy. Like, they kind of punked me at first, and then I had to do this concert for free, and then I brought in this band, and then they said, would you mind coming with us? And, then I bid on the sound gig, and I didn't know what I was doing, and I didn't make enough money, and I worked for free. But that's how you do it. Sometimes you got to work for free. Sometimes you got to go to a fundraiser. Sometimes you got to put $65 down and take a leap of faith. Anyway, I hope this podcast motivated your mother blank and go do it. Do something. Make somebody else win. Make somebody else smile. And go buy assets so you can go to more fundraisers.
Thanks for listening to the Savvy Radio Show. Glide online and listen to our other motivating episodes at savvyradioshow.com. Connect on Twitter at LandlordBook and always be buying assets.